Okay, so in the previous video, we loaded the list.json file and we outputted some images using JavaScript. Let's just have a quick brief look at that once again. So we went to our gallery file and I've made a couple of changes to it. So now we've got this load gallery with inside of, so all this information now inside of a load gallery function, all right? And this just means that we can basically just do everything over and over again every single time we've got when the window gets resized as well. So it's basically exactly the same code, but I've made just a couple of tweaks to it, all right, just to make it the actual visual part of it look nice. But the idea is exactly the same, but we'll go over it very, very quickly. So what we're doing is we are getting the gallery element, and that is the gallery container here, this container box here, and then we are getting the actual width of that one gallery, and then we are working out the image width. What I want to do is in this scenario have 3 columns, all right? And so we're saying take the gallery width, and then we are removing one of them columns because we want to know the padding between them. And my mistake. Yeah, we actually don't need the image width anymore. I just was printing it out on the console, so we can remove that there. And the gallery width also doesn't matter. Yeah, so there we go. So the code that we actually have now is the gallery element. We load the list.json from the file, and then we get the images from it, and then we iterate through each image to just make this div class cell first of all, and then we've got an inner part of it called the item, and there we're just nice and simply using image source and going from there. And then we are inserting that there as the HTML for our gallery element. And then we're just adding the length of the images to the inner text of this one, the image count span. Super, super nice. So let's have a quick look at this again. You can see that we've now got 3 columns, right? And as we resize it, it all basically stays the same. And all of the images now have a aspect ratio and with a border and then a hover, which we'll have a look at right now. Okay, obviously this is the only time that you're going to see resize, when someone actually resizes the window here like this. But it doesn't really happen that very often, but it's just a nice little trick to do. So let's have a look at the CSS. I've moved all of the CSS into a file. And initially with the star, we are saying just remove all padding and margin from any elements. And if we use text, I'm going to use Fedana and these in this priority if they're installed. So we first of all have this app wrapper. Now React likes to use this app, so I thought, well, let's at least conform to this and have this app here. And here we're just saying display flex, flex direction column, so we're going to have it from top to bottom. We want all of the content within inside of that to then go to flex start. So when flex direction is top to bottom, that's the direction. Then justify content is always in the opposite direction of the axis. So the axis is vertical here, justify content will be horizontal, and align items will be vertical. So we're just saying, hey, we want to stretch everything, all right? And then we're just going to give a little bit of formatting to our H1 tag here. And just to give it a little bit of margin, change the font weight. This font style can be removed. Font size, just bumping it up a little bit. And then we come down to our gallery. We're using the ID because we only want one of them, all right? And we're just giving it a little bit of margin, top and bottom, margin left or right, and saying display grid. This was the most easiest way to be able to do this, because we could have sat around and done lots of JavaScript code and so on. But in all fairness, with in 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you would have to done everything per hand and manipulated the DOM and added lots of horrible code and this, that, and the other. But the nicest and easiest way to do it today in this for this scenario specifically is with a display grid. and we're just saying that we want a gap between the rows and gap between the columns. I might have got that around the wrong way. Row, column, yeah, so 20 pixels between the rows and 20 pixels between the columns. And here we're saying that we want to have 3 columns, all right, and they should all have the equal, the same fraction between them, all right, so it's take up the same size. So that's then the gallery that we're telling it what to do. Next, each cell, we are saying display flex, flex direction column once again, justify content center. So we want everything top to bottom. Remember, this is left to right. So this is going to be centered horizontally, and align items we're going to be centered vertically too. We're setting the background color and then the border using RGBA. So we're just basically saying a gray and a super, super light gray. And the border is going to be 1 order of magnitude darker than the background color here. Setting a border radius of 3 pixels and giving it some padding too. The cell, when we hover, then we are just basically upping the opacity or reducing the opacity, should we say. So it's more opaque a little bit here as well, and then add in the cursor pointer. So let's just have a quick look at that, and you can see here we're getting this hover effect, and it's very subtle. We probably could make it even more subtle, maybe add a shadow there, but it's nice for the time being. The next thing that we're doing is the item. The item is then, well, let's go back here. The item is then the wrapper of the image tag itself. So let's have a look. This is display flex, flex direction column once again. So we are going from top to bottom, we're going vertical. Justify content is then the horizontal version because it's always the opposite of the flex direction. And we want that to be then aligned center. Align items center too. And we're saying aspect ratio of 16:9. That's how pretty much all of the photos are. Some are a little bit taller other than that. There was just the full frame. Yeah, I kept it full frame in that sense, but most of the images I did with 16:9. We're saying overflow hidden, so none of the image comes outside of this. The image with inside of it, so let's go back and have a look at the JavaScript. So now we are accessing in this next tag the image tag directly with inside item. Here we're just saying that we want it to be 100% the width. The object fit should be cover, so it means that it should basically, there should be no white space left or right, top or bottom. It should cover the whole thing, and we want it to center itself, and we are telling it to have to be height 100%. All right, so we are telling it don't leave any space out, and you should cover it and you should center it too. Which, as long as the main, the primary focus of the image is in, like, say, the 2/3, or it's in like the middle third, then we should be all okay. And most of these photos, the main focal point is pretty much in the center third anyway of all of the images. So we're not cutting too much out here. And this is how I like my photos. I do some portrait photos every now and again, but when it comes down to displaying, I much prefer displaying it in a landscape mode because we are so driven today with vertical images, and that's not predominantly how art should be. Art should be landscape, square, portrait, and all of them. So to go against the grain, I want them to all be horizontal to show, hey, this is not a TikTok thing. This is not an Instagram thing. This is a website gallery thing, and this is how I want you to see my images. Anyway, so with that said, we now have a nice basis for the gallery. And so really the next thing to do would be to be able to tap on these, pop up a curtain over the top. So we want to see like a real deep dark black, but with some transparency through it, so you can still see it. A curtain. Then in the middle of that, we then bring the image into the middle with possibly some animation and so on. And then we place on the left and the right of it a some form of indications that you can move left or right with clicking. But I like to be able to add the cursor as well, so you can cursor left and right too as well. And then if you press like the space bar or something, it will just cancel them out. I like this. So if we hover over an image, maybe we can add some sense that we know that the cursor is over an image. Press the space bar, and I don't know. We'll see as we go through. I'm just doing this as we go along. So with that said, I think you're now seeing how this can go along. And if we add another image to this one folder here, all I've got to do, and as you can see here, I haven't even bothered having to uh, know about the names of these files, right? I could name them how I want, and I could also put any priority. And I think the next thing to possibly do would be to add some image width and height information, because it could also be really pertinent to know, okay, where is the main subject within inside of the photo, and that could be where the thumbnail is shown, right? So we could move the photo rather than just being center. We can move the photo to a different area and say, okay, I want this portion here to be the actual thumbnail, and then when you tap on it, boom, it shows the whole image as well. But we're going to go through this. You know, we are software developers. I'm not a HTML CSS programmer. I am a programmer. I'm a software developer, and yeah, we shouldn't just be rushing through the code. We want to get it done as best as possible. All right, and it's only 12:44 today. I started this at maybe 8 o'clock this morning, and I've made other videos and edited videos, uploaded videos, etc., etc. With that said, I hope that you've got something out of this one video. I don't think I forgot anything that I had here already. No, it seems to be all pretty good. Yeah, okay. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, especially if you want to be notified when I release any new content. On that note, I make a whole bunch of different videos. I just don't make software development videos. I make drone videos, or I just make random videos that I like to make. If I go to a football stadium, I take photos there too. With that said, if you've got any questions, feedback, or concerns, as always, let's start a conversation in the comment section down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. That's it. My name's David Dawn, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.